Good morning, students. Let us continue with IHRM, staffing, recruitment, and selection. This is the important part of the game. Staffing is in international business. HR manager must determine when and where to expatriate. It is really a little bit tricky for an HR manager to play around this. Whom to send to which country? And what is the situation, under what situation that employee should be posted to another country. Expatriate workers are frequently assigned to key positions in overseas operations. Human resource managers must also decide on the issue of compensation. Yesterday we discussed that compensation in the home country may vary when it comes to payouts, right? According to their country norms, we have to fix the salary. In India, we are paying 15,000 means in that country it may be 1 lakh rupees. So difference amount will encourage the employees to go abroad or to the destination which is outside our country, and the performance will also will be affected, or it may be recognized as one of the motivating tool to go out. Go out means go out of the country and to work in another country. The compensation of expatriate workers must be examined along with compensation of the local workers, the compensation of the workers in the home country. Differences in the compensation packages have significant implication on staffing success, expatriate performance, and business performance. If an employee who has been posted to another country has not worked properly, then overall impact will be on the business performance. Then in turn it will be a performance of his own as well. HR managers must also address the issue of repatriation. Repatriation is to call back the employee who is working abroad or has been posted abroad. Repatriation happens when the worker needs to come back to the home country, usually to continue working for the same company. Repatriation also happens when the expatriate worker retires. These issues have significant effects on the perspectives and performance of the expatriate workers and local workers and the effectiveness of HRM in staffing. So major issues in IHRM: expatriation, sending them to another country; compensation, it should match with the country in which he is going to work; repatriation is calling back the same employee, whether that contract might be over or he might got retired. Anything can happen. Expatriation is an employee who has left his native land and is working temporarily residing in a foreign country. That is what we discussed. Affirms employees who are transferred out of their home base into some other area of the firm's international operations are referred to as expatriates. The person who has been sent to another country to work is called an expatriate. Compensation is the results and rewards that the employees receive in return for their work. When he goes out of a country, he has to sacrifice something, right? The family will be here, he is traveling alone, new atmosphere, new environment, new friends, new work culture, everything will be new. So, for this sacrifice, employees should get something in return, right? It is only due to better compensation. Compensation includes payment like bonuses, profit sharing, overtime pay, recognition rewards, and sales commission, etc. are part of the compensation which motivates the person to go abroad and work. Repatriation is a process of returning back from an international assignment to a home country after completing the assignment or some other issues. Repatriation is the last step in the expatriation cycle, and it involves readjustment of and a re-entry of international managers and their families back to their home country. Some companies will allow to take their family along with them, but some companies are not permitting to take the family while they are expatriated. So the repatriation can be due to the termination of assignment or completion of the assignment, or it may be employee get retired, or it may be due to some errors or mistakes or unwanted things expatriator does in that country. At that time also repatriation take place. Types of staffing policy approaches in international HRM. Staffing in international level. One is ethnocentric staffing, one is polycentric staffing, one is geocentric staffing. Let us look into each of them. Ethnocentric staffing policy approach to staffing designates home country nationals as top ranking employees in global operations. For instance, means if American company has operation in Indonesia or in some other area, the decision making position will be held by American citizen only. This, for instance, executive positions are given to Americans in an office of an American company located in Indonesia. The main benefit of this staffing policy approach that it allows the organization to ensure that the people in the top positions who are making the decisions for the betterment of the company are well experienced in the in that business or that firm. This is especially the case where the host country does not have enough qualified workers for staffing top positions in the organization. They feel that American company feels that we have trained our own employees so that they can take better decision in the country where he has been posted. The ethnocentric staffing policy approach is also is used to ensure that the culture of the entire organization is unified rather than diversified. However, the problem with the ethnocentric policy approach is that it does not fully support the transfer of local knowledge to the company. Also, this staffing policy approach could block locals from promotion in the organization. These are the drawbacks of the ethnocentric policies. This problem with ethnocentric policy approach is that it does not fully support the transfer of local knowledge. There may be better employees than the expatriate, but this will be blocking if the company follows ethnocentric model or approach, then it hinders the transfer of the local knowledge, who can take the better decision, who knows the localites or that region better than the American employee. It cannot be transferred to the company because the ultimate decision will be taken by the expatriate. The polycentric staffing policy approach to staffing assigns home country workers to top position in the central offices or in headquarters, or overseas local workers to the positions. The main advantage of this policy approach is that it facilitates the organization learning on local markets. This staffing policy approach also provides better opportunities for locals to improve their careers through promotion. However, this promotion is limited to key position in the local operations and does not include central or corporate top positions. This staffing policy approach is disadvantageous because it could create knowledge and performance gaps between overseas managers and the managers in the home country. Polycentric staffing prefers to the local people rather than the expatriate or who are being sent from the home country. It helps to overcome the drawbacks of the ethnocentric approach. This staffing policy approach also provides better opportunities for localites to improve the careers through promotion. So they should not feel that I am working for an American company, but my promotion has been held because I am a localite, I am non-American. But that is why they should not feel that. It will be leading to performance gaps. Even though I'm working better than that expatriate or a manager who has been posted from America, I'm not getting the promotion, I'm not getting the incentives. What he is drawing, he is getting those benefits because he is from home country. So this will be leading to performance gaps between overseas managers and the manager in the home country. Geocentric staffing policy approach. This is one most policy which is in demand or in use, that is geocentric policy approach to staffing assigns job positions to any person best suited for the position. Here, no ethnocentric, no another one. Employees background, culture or country of origin. The main advantage of this staffing policy approach is that it is highly flexible. Whoever has the capacity, they will get the promotion. There is no need of Asian to handle Asian operations. There is no need of any Australian to handle Australian operations, right? Any person who is really capable will be posted to the decision making position. It can increase the firm's cultural knowledge about the different markets and the countries. However, a disadvantage of this staffing policy approach is that it could be difficult to apply. It is in practice, it is or in reality, it is little bit difficult to implement. Immigration policies, costs of the worker, relocation, and diversity management create pressure on HR management. These are the limitations. Immigration policies may not permit them to hold that particular positions. Cost of the workers to relocate, it may be higher sometimes, and the diversity management create pressure on the HR management. So out of three, uh, everyone has every policy has its own limitation and the benefit. So according to the situation and company policies, HR manager will decide which approach should be adopted. So next one let us discuss recruitment in HRM. Recruitment refers to searching for and obtaining potential job candidates, selection in the process of evaluating the candidates and deciding who should be employed for a particular job. The first decision for IHRM is where employees for the various positions should be come from. This is the crucial part. Employee should be localite or he should be from another country. If you look for the localites, the cost will be minimum. If you look for the another country or employee, definitely cost will be more because they are getting expatriated to this country. That is why compensation part cannot be compensated or compromised. Recruitment refers to searching for obtaining potential job candidates. It is recruitment is nothing but after the job design, definitely we need an eligible candidate to handle that work, taking the ownership and responsibility to complete that assignment on time. That is why potential job candidates. This is the recruitment process which starts from understanding client requirement. First, we have to understand what type of job to be done and what is there, what is its features. A sourcing profile. So, profiles of the candidate should be sourced, mapping of position and key result areas. Whether the demand of job can be met with these key result areas of the candidate after sourcing, reaching at targeting right profile. You are sourcing 100 candidates, you may, after key result area search, you may arrive at 10% of that. That is reaching targeting right profiles. So you are filtering them out. You are selecting only who can directly fit or he can 100% fit for this particular job demand. Then you are moving to final shortlisting of candidates. Here you are again looking for the better candidates in this 10%. Scheduling and facilitating the interviews. You are means the organization calls for or HR managers call them for interviews, right? On this day, you are requested to appear for the face-to-face interviews. That intimation will go to the selected or shortlisted candidate. Then, after the interviews, uh, who are in the capacity to select the candidates, they will select them and they will post them to the work. That is deployment. After final selection, they will undergo induction and orientation about the company, about the policies, about the reserve employees, about the job, everything they will be highlighting in the induction, then they will be posted to that work. This is the recruitment process cycle. The first decision for IHRM is where employees for the various positions should come from. It is the first decision he has to take where the employees should be selected. Taking the example of French MNC with the need to fill an executive position in a subsidiary in Romania, there are three alternatives: a French national, a Romanian national, or a manager from the third country. Anything can be happen. See, when a French company recruits a French executive, it is local or ethnocentric. When HR manager looks for a candidates from Romania, this leads to expatriation, right? Or it may be from the third country. Both the employee will not be or will not belong to any, he won't be part of Romania, or he may not be part of France. So he is from third country like India or China. The general staffing options are parent country nationals, first option. So ethnocentric is preferable. In this case, French employees frequently have the advantage of knowing the MNC and the headquarters strategies, values and procedures is very well, because they are working for their own country company. They share a common national culture with the staff at the corporate headquarters and have been socialized into the corporate culture. They are already aware of, because they already worked for that company. They often have technical competence and experience in the specific function for which they are sent abroad. They facilitate communication between the foreign subsidiary and the corporate headquarters. So first preference in this case will be a French employee, because he knows the in and out of the organization, what are the policies, what is the market, what is the actual requirement of the company, all the things they are aware of. They support the implementation of the corporate strategy in the host country. So because they are aware of the corporate policies. On the other hand, they usually do not know the host country very well and might have difficulties in adopting the new environment. The procedures learned in the home country might not be efficient in the host country, and cultural adjustment can be difficult. Furthermore, if this explains if an expatriate goes to the French company and works in the headquarters, what are the difficulties he has to face. Furthermore, home country nationals are a very expensive option, since in addition to their usual salaries, they receive substantial additional payments during that assignment abroad. Host country national. A second option is to employ a host country national. In this case, a Romanian manager would be used to staff the position in the Romanian subsidiary, because he knows the local market. Romanian subsidiary. Host country nationals have detailed market knowledge as well as local relations. They understand the culture of the employees and of customers better and are capable of adopting the company strategy to the specific requirements of the local market. Because they are localites, they know the local language, they know local people, local market, local requirements, local demand. Everything will be, or every part of the market Romanian manager has. However, in some host countries, candidates with adequate qualifications and experience might be hard to find. This will be dearth in skilled person. Also, the reduced cultural conflicts in the host country might be offset by an increased number of cultural conflicts between subsidiary and the headquarters. So here first option was selecting a French employee and posting them to Romanian operations. Second option is host country national, where the people who are aware of the local market, or an employee who is aware of the local market, will be given preference for that post. Third country national, an MNC may also hire third country nationals. In the above example, this could be a Hungarian manager who would be selected to work for the French MNC in the Romanian subsidiary. Reasons for this might be that the third country national is expected to adapt faster to the new environment than a home country national, or that he has gathered experience in a certain function that is needed in the host country. Here Romania is hosting the employee. Either it should be from French, or he should be from Romania, or he should be from the third country like Hungarian, or any part of the world. When you are looking for the third country person, you should look about the compensation you have to pay. It should not be more than if an employee has been posted to Romania from the headquarters or the origin country. The MNC might have a pool of intentionally experienced managers from different countries that are used to fill positions in the different subsidiaries regardless of nationality. Third country nationals might also be compromised for the cost of the assignment, since they still receive foreign service premiums and other additional payments, but might have a lower base salary than the home country. That is what I just explained in the previous slide. The third country national is a specific type of expatriate. Reasons for expatriate failures. If an employee has been posted to another country, his performance level may come down. What are the reasons behind it? First of all, transfer anxieties. Foreign assignment might have been pushed ahead without adequate preparation and advanced planning. The expat might, as a result, find the task insurmountable, feel the pressure unbearable, and return empty-handed. His performance in the country where he has been posted will be uh, what we can call he will be an underperformer. His performance will be less compared to the performance in the native country, because he has not been geared up by the company. He has not been trained what is going to be, how he has to handle the things. He has not been given proper training on that. That is why employee faces the anxiety or some kind of imaginary fears. Second one is problems. A foreign posting creates for the expatriate a number of career problems. One is being out of sight, out of mind, and being bypassed for promotions. The danger of coming home a stranger with new familiar faces to greet his or her arrival. The likelihood of being tempted by the foreign lifestyle and losing the desire to return. These are the other problems which an employee will be facing. He has to work in being out of sight and out of mind and being bypassed for promotions. When he is working in another country, his promotion may not be considered for the promotional activities in the home country. That is why he may be bypassed. The danger of coming home a stranger with few familiar faces to greet his or her arrival. The likelihood of being tempted by the foreign lifestyle and losing the desire to return. So repatriation will be problematic. Personal problems. As expatriates may encounter serious adjust problems such as personal discomfort, uncomfortable living conditions, homesickness, education, medical health problems of family members in the home country. This is referred to social aloofness, cultural mismatch. All he is not able to adjust to the expatriated or a country where he is working. Other concerns this include the foreign posting might be looked at as a short-term obligation. Okay, for 1 month, 2 months, 5 months, why should I go there and suffer? Let I be at home. I will be at home country only. So why should I take this? This is another concern. The expert's performance might be evaluated against a short-term criteria. If it's a long term, it is a 2 years, 5 years contract, that's definitely expatriate will be showing more interest than for the short-term assignments. The expat may begin to feel the pinch due to lack of continuity in plans empowering him to conduct the show for a reasonable period. So see, if an employee has been posted to USA from India for 3 months, he has to perform there, he has to adjust to the new environment, so he has to, his personal life should be compromised for shorter duration. It is really difficult for him to perform well for the short-term assignments. Business environment of the host country might be too restrictive. In India, we are enjoying liberal atmosphere in the office, but there they may be having lot of restriction to work or unfriendly colleagues and even unbearable pressures or anything of that kind may lead to failure to perform in the country where he has been or she has been expected failures in success. See, US firms, there is a comparison between Japanese firms and an US firm. In US firms, inability of spouse to adjust. This is employees' problem. Inability to cope up with the larger overseas responsibilities. Japanese firms is they work more, they look for the productivity, right? Managers' inability to adjust. Difficulties with the new environment. Other family problems. Here, personal or emotional problems. Managers' personal or emotional immaturity to deal with this kind of expatriates. Lack of technical competence. Here, language also a major problem. If you go outside Japan, if an Indian has been posted to Japan, definitely he will face. In office, okay, he can manage with English, or in if he comes out, then definitely he will face the language problem. Inability to cope up with larger overseas responsibilities, inability to spouse to adjust. See the actual comparison here. Due to less time, I'm not able to explain everything in deep. Expatriate success. When an expatriate will be successful in his performance, he should be self-oriented, express adaptive concern for self-preservation, self-enjoyment, and mental hygiene. This is this contributes to expatriates success. Perceptual perceptual accurately understands why host nationals behave the way they do, because when Mr. A has been posted to US, cultural difference will be arised between and that country. Then he has to perceive the behavior of the host nationals, why they are behaving like that. So he should be analytical, others oriented, cares about host national co-workers and affiliates with them. Means it is a contribution by the host country personnel. They are treating them as he's from the same country, and they won't find any difference between their culture and his culture. Cultural toughness, able to handle the degree to which the culture of the host country is incongruent with that of the home country. So this incongruencies again, it is a strange and not suitable in a particular situation. They could be or behaved properly in certain situation. If I were in the home country, my employees may not behave like that, but in that country they behaved like this. That is why it is cultural toughness. How to manage expatriate failure? Design a job that maximizes role clarity. So expatriate should understand his role properly. Before leaving, he has to be given proper training on that. So minimizes the role conflict with proper selection of candidates. So they should be able to adjust to the new situations. So role conflict with proper selection of candidate. You should be selecting, or HR manager will be selecting the proper candidate who has mental maturity. Provide opportunity for languages lessons. If you are being posted to French, France or some other countries where English is not as spoken language, they are giving preferences to the local language as well. So before leaving, candidates should get trained on that country's language. not fully, at least to handle the situations. Provide all information and equipment pertinent to the role or work of the employees. He should be completely aware of what he has to do that and how he is going to do that. Provide proper organizational support systems from supervisors and co-workers in the host country. So this is very much expected or should be handled properly. Uh, because he is working in the team, supervisors and co-workers contribution for his success also matters a lot. Includes spouse in any training and support programs. This is again company's call whether to include the family members uh, when he has been posted. Can he carry his family members to that country with him? That is company's call. Selection criteria. A selection as a selection criteria for a position in an MNC, in particular in a foreign subsidiary, it has to be noted that a candidate must have two sets of competencies. One is the skills and abilities necessary to do the job. It is functional, technical, and managerial skills are very much necessary to handle in the foreign country. And the skills and abilities necessary to work in a foreign location and or with employees from different countries. This includes adaptability to new situations, location-specific skills, most notably the language of the host country. I told Japan, Chinese have their own languages. No, even in India also we have, but in Japan and those languages we are not aware. That is what. English, okay, we are able to manage. If they speak English, we need not bother about the local languages. But when it comes to handling the local people, if we approach them in their local languages, definitely they won't feel us a foreigner and they will think, yes, he is also one of us. So personal characteristics such as culture, sensitivity, self-reliance, motivation to work abroad, stable family situations are all part of the selection criteria before selecting an employee. According to Griffin, say two set of competencies. One is to handle the functional, technical, and managerial skill, and another one is to adopt the adopt cultural prominence of another country as well. Expect hit selection in process. See, it starts for the selection of decision making. Whom, what we have to do? Yes, we have to send one employee to Japan. So, what are the other aspects required or which can boost his performance in another country? These are all what we discussed in the previous slide. The same as family requirements, multinational enterprise requirements, language, yes, country cultural requirements, it should be trained. It may be technical ability, cross-cultural suitability. I prefer to send an employee to Japan who is basically aware of language and culture of that country. If he is technically strong, if he is culturally, because he is already aware of that culture, then my selection will be that particular employee only, which minimizes the cross-cultural conflicts as well as which may boost up the employee's performance in that country. So employee also will be benefited as well as company also will be benefited in turn. uh, Cross-cultural suitability ensure that the person is knowledgeable of the culture of the foreign countries for his or her mission. He is already aware of, is knowledgeable. It is important to consider that the lack of knowledge about the culture of other country is one of the primary reasons for failure of expatriate jobs, because he is not able to adjust to their culture. That is, the employee should have the adaptability to the new culture, new life, new environment, new colleagues. He is able to, it all comes from mental maturity. The assignments can be, say expatriate assignments can be, it may be a short term or it can be extended 6 months first, they have given, then another 6 months extended. It may be long term means 2 years, 5 years assignment. Commuters are nothing but once 3 months once they are moving from this country to that country. On rotational, rotational means in a team there are 6 members, A B C D E, A B C D E, F. So first A goes, after 3 months he returns, then B goes, C goes, like that. So everyone will have the chance to go there. Contractual, it is not on-roll employees. Virtual, virtual means digital platforms. Self-initiated, the person who wants to reach or wants to work in abroad, he started his this assignment, so it is self-initiated assignment.